I know a guy who once took a job. I have to be very careful about telling this story. I don't want to identify anybody. And the people said to him, well, we're opening this new area in Trinidad, so you're going to sell it. And he knew about that area very well. And the people who were going to sell it didn't. It was a big firm. So they said, all right, we will give you this amount in salary. And because the salary was small, they gave him a nice bonus. Not understanding what's happening. So at the end of 3 months, they would have to tally up, see what he sold, and then pay him a bonus, 5% or something like that, you know. He said at the end of 3 months, when they tallied up what he sold, and they saw the amount of money that they had to pay him, they started balking. He said, oh, you know, we can't do that, but we got to come a little lower. You know. So he being the Trinidadian he is, he cussed and walk out. And he ring his wife and he said, just leave the work. They don't want to pay me my money. They renege and all kind of thing. And she says to him, well, we have some money that we save in there to build a house, you know. Let me do something. Let me take the money and buy your own stuff from abroad and bring it in and sell it. Then you have to, you're paying yourself all the bonus. He said within 5 years he was a multi-millionaire.
Right. So that whole story has emphasized the importance of a woman supporting or helping the man.
I don't want to use the word support, and I don't want to use the word help. You know why? It doesn't really portray. Look at it this way.
The role.
A woman role, I mean, especially in those days, many years ago, was to get her house, because the man working, she's at home, right? And fix up the house. She's the nest builder. She is holding the money to start the building of the nest. His thing collapses. And she takes her dream and she crushes it. And she hands him the money and say, do your dream first. You understand? You understand why I didn't want to say support? Because that doesn't portray the depth of soul feeling inside it. Because most of them say, well, boy, once if you can get another work, well, what about the money we have there? You're mad or what? We touch out for? We nearly ready to buy the house down the road. We will think that when I want to happen. And suppose you ain't get a job, and suppose it ain't work and you lose the money. But she didn't do that. Unhesitatingly, she said, take the money. Start your own business.
Needless to say that there are women and there are women. So the kind of woman that we just brought into the picture that fulfills those criteria that allows the man now to come out of a situation where I won't say he has failed, but life has dealt him a negative.
No, it might not be that at all. It is that the universe is seeing his dreams and is setting him up to go to his dreams.
So, all right. So it's kind of channeling him into it.
So you see, they have 2 or 3 ways of looking at life.
Yes.
Most people will look and say, "Oh God, I get hit."
Yeah.
Right.
Because they were so dependent on what they would receive,
yes,
rather than what they would put out.
And they are accustomed slaving for other people. So you know.
Yeah.
Right. So they look at, well, if I leave that work, I got to find somewhere else where I could sell that and probably see if I could get a commission there. But he didn't know. He walked. He says, take it, and the wife says, sell your own thing. In other words, go work for yourself.
Right. Because she saw the wisdom that if he was earning the money that he earned for those people,
he could be earning for himself.
And then the house would be no problem.
The house would be no problem. The house wasn't no problem at all. The many houses wasn't no problem.
Exactly. So this is a woman who employed a lot of wisdom.
No, this is a woman who stayed in her feminine feeling.
All right.
Because feminine wisdom is totally different from masculine wisdom.
Okay.
Men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Okay.
What do we mean by that? You say, come away and tell your wife, you say, you know, about that business thing I was doing? I meet a guy, you know, and he tell me, let me partner up and think. So he coming over for dinner. And we going and sit down and talk about it and while we have dinner. So the guy comes and they sit down and they have dinner and everything is laid out and everything sounds hunky-dory. Sees the guy off, and he's back and he sits down. He says to the wife, "Well, what do you think?" And she looks at him and she says, "Nah." He says, "How you could say that? You see all the plans, how much money you're going to put in and all that kind of thing?" She says, "Yeah, I know it. I hear it all. I hear everything and it sounds like it will work. But no." And he says, "Well, why are you saying no?" And finally she says, "It don't feel right.
Right, because she has that connection.
It don't feel right."
She has that connection with her emotional soul.
Well, you love to intellectualize these
No,
things.
no, I am trying to make sense of the reasoning.
Maybe women who are in that particular frame is using a reference that is totally different from us.
Okay.
Our reference is logic.
Yes.
Their reference is
Feeling?
feeling.
Okay. All right. So let's just step back a bit. So Jesus, being a man, went to the desert for 40 days to better understand his feelings, emotions, and all of that. Correct?
Better understand his relationship, the relationship of his emotions to the relationship of the emotions of the universe.
So
Yeah,
that,
throw another spanner into the works there for you.
all right. So having gained this understanding, we will be going to the completion of the 40-day exercise. He has completed this exercise. Satan pull up, tempt him, offer him the world, he rebuke him. He passed that test. So he has control over his feelings and emotions. So he can now, and the relationship it has to the universe.
What do you mean that he has control?
He knows how to deal with every feeling or emotion when it arises. So the feeling or emotion doesn't control him. He is now able to use whatever comes up, whatever energy that rises to his benefit. Yeah? No?
You have one guy, and he's very successful, and he lives in a big house. Right? And when you look for him, he in his bedroom. Bedroom have a few books. He said, the rest of the wife says, "Well, go down there. He's in his bedroom there reading. Go in and check him out." And the whole house is lavish. Right? It has the best of everything. And you knock on the door and he says, "Come in." And you open the door. And all he has is a little futon on the ground with a mattress. Thing there for some books. Well, nowadays you'll have a little computer. You might have the best computer. And a little wardrobe for some clothes. What is he doing? What is the statement he's making?
That he is not attached to the things of this world.
That he owns the thing in the world,
But
right?
yeah,
But the things in the world
don't own him.
don't own him.
Okay.
So in other words, it becomes something that can be manipulated, can be used. If you have that ability to focus your intent on a particular thing and keep your image, then you might very well find that it materializes easier.
All right.
So, put another spanner into the works. For God to have created the world, at the point where the energy was coming down from the light, it had to take on the identification of very powerful emotions.
Okay.
So everything in the universe has emotions. Everything.
So the whole of creation is really an expression of God's emotion.
Of God's dreams manifested.
Now. So we're going back to the creating of reality through the act of man and woman coming together and the energies going towards each other. She is receiving he's driving, and at that point, she is helping him to bring his dreams into reality.
Their dreams.
Their dreams into reality.
Because if the dreams become hers, then they're theirs.
Yeah.
Why would I say theirs? Even though he put forward the dream, he said, this is my dream.
Yeah.
What would make the dream theirs? What would make her want to support it wholeheartedly?
Because it will be for her benefit.
You're missing the point. If he has a dream, the dream will have his things in it.
Yes.
It will have his logic in it. It will have his nonsense in it too. All his shortcomings of his thing. What will happen when he tells her the dream?
It excites her.
She will say, you see that door there that you say you're going to paint red?
Yeah.
You shouldn't paint it red, you know. It would be better if it was light blue.
Or she would make his dream her own by
She would make his dream
their
their own
own by giving her input.
by giving her input.
Right. So
That's why I says it has to become their dreams. If you tell her the dream and he says, well, I'm going to paint that door black. And she says, well, that's not a good color for people coming in. Why you don't paint it a nice light blue or light pink or even a light off cream white and thing? Say, no, I want it black.
that's the end of the dream.
That's his dream.
She
She pulled back from the dream.
because he not letting her in.
You're not letting her in. So it doesn't become their dream. But you see, any dream that you put up by yourself, bound to have flaws.
And flaws are the weak points.
Right. But her part of the dream would not sometimes be put in by logic.
By feeling.
It would put in by feeling.
And it will
You know.
repair the weak areas.
That name that you have there, it's too harsh, you know. I call it something fancier. Like so and so.
Or something that would appeal to both men and women.
Yes.
They will, or, you know, something that wouldn't offend anybody. You know, they would say something around those lines, and then sometimes the man is so proud that he actually had an idea that he's unwilling to change.
You're going to open a toy shop and you say, I'm going to call it Rambo.
So only Rambo toys he's selling.
Yes.
Rambo toys.
And she said, well, what about all the dolls that thing inside there, right? Yeah. Rambo S.
This is Rambo.
He busy lifting weights and things. You say, I'm Mrs. Rambo. And, but I mean, I just taking it from the sublime to the ridiculous. But I'm trying to point out that the man's idea will always be totally different from the woman's idea.
And it needs that
a wise
feminine
man. A
touch.
wise man.
Yeah. That explains why a lot of CEOs and successful business people just have a lot of women close to them in the office. The assistant or the manager right underneath them.
You want to get an idea of what the feeling is.
Yes.
What's the feeling? What's the vibes coming off it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes as men we don't have that vibes.
So the man will put forward the raw idea and the woman will refine it.
Yes, she'll help refine it.
And having refined that now, it's now ready for creation.
Having refined that, she jumping into it more than you.
So it has a greater drive towards the reality.
Yes. Which tells you something about talk and about aims. And so a man, you see, long ago people used to have arranged marriages. You could arrange a marriage, but I love the woman. Right? But what I suppose the people try to do in their wisdom, and even that could get out of hand too, I'm not installing it as being right or wrong, you know. But what you're doing is you have a man who is educated to a certain level and things like that. And what they do is they say, let us find a woman who would have that kind of understanding. So if he comes and he starts talking science, and you could find a woman who can understand what he's saying, who knows what he's saying furthermore, then you have a much better chance of that thing working. The chances are they will have the same ideals for the children. They would have the same idea of what kind of house they want and what kind of friends they want. You understand? That might be a good thing, it might be a bad thing. But
So that will be something like a pairing of the energies.
yes.
So
Now,
yeah.
if you have a pairing of the energies, what they say is that over a period of time, as things begin to form there, those people would form a more lasting bond than somebody who, everything was hot and sweaty, and then 2 years later the hot and sweaty disappear, and then you have two people diametrically opposed to what they want. So they're always quarreling.
Right, like let's say two musicians get married, and the man is a composer, and the woman is a singer, and based on her knowledge of singing, when he composes a song, she said, well, this piece here doesn't really roll off the tongue right, let me change it. And then they have a hit song out of that because they're able to connect on that level. Right? So
we're really talking about the groundwork that allows the energies of both parties to come together to make a reality.
right.
Most of the times you don't have that.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that,
You have friction.
you have friction,
Some serious friction.
some serious friction.
Yeah.
You could have a man who has plenty talent and a woman who's organized. She's running the house. He says, boy, she's run things well, everything. And I get up in the morning, everything ready to go. She have it organized. And he totally disorganized, but he's brilliant.
Yeah.
And she keeps telling him, well, let me help you with this now. Let me suggest this. And he doesn't hear. So he keeps going from mistake to mistake. He gets to going and it falls down. And she says, if you listen to me, don't talk to me. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
And so he gets old and he suddenly realizes, shucks, if I'd listened to all these years,
Yeah.
my business would have succeeded.
You'd have a retirement plan.
You'd have been rich.
Yeah.
Retirement plan?
You wouldn't need one.
You don't need one.
Yeah.
You get where I'm coming from?
Right. So
You see, when you start to talk about something, start to talk about the ruach, and you say, well, that's the emotions. That don't mean anything to most people, unless you carry it down into the nitty gritty.
yeah. They have to understand how it manifests in their life.
How it manifests and why it comes together and why it is you have a male and a female energy coming together
Right.
to organize that.
Well, from creation, even the God name that is both male and female, Elohim, right? And then when we look at in the spiritual Baptist community, the church, the structure of the church, you have male and female leaders of the church. So the mother is the spiritual mother of the church, and the spiritual leader have their roles to play, and they're supposed to complement each other in the same way. So when the spiritual, in the spiritual realm, you have a male spiritual leader, a female spiritual leader working together.
Let me give you an idea.
Yeah.
Person comes to mourn, baptize and mourn, right? To baptize is to show you the way. So the person going to get baptized, they get baptized by a
Leader.
a man,
Yeah.
right? He leads the way, he pushes. When they're ready to come and mourn, which is to put the person down on the ground, nurture them, bring them out from the physical into the spiritual. All right? That person is a
Woman.
mother.
Spiritual mother. Yeah.
So you can't find a spiritual leader coming to put and nurture people on the ground.
Well, they have male pointers, but most of the pointers that I have known are female.
The female does the nurturing, and in the process of spiritual traveling, you could have the man coming in and helping the person to direct the spiritual travels
Okay.
to a higher level, or helping them to break past a certain limitation that they might have in themselves.
All right. So that would explain why we have so many female pointers, and it will also explain
You don't have female pointers, you have female nurturers.
nurturers. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in spiritual life, they call them pointers.
Yeah, but
They show you the way they're pointing.
yeah.
All right. So,
I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the thing,
yeah,
when they go to read the tracks,
yeah,
right? There's enough men there then. right? So the mother takes a slight back seat and allows the person who has born to state where they went and what they did. And they usually tell that to the male pointers, by and large.
All right.
They might have two male pointers and a woman pointer.
But the description of the mourning process, it sounds to me like it's a womb.
Yes, it is. Precisely. That's why you need a woman.
Right?
What man know about womb?
So you're placing this person in this womb.
And you're putting them in the hands of somebody who know about womb. Not somebody who just talk about womb.
Yes.
Somebody who have a womb.
Yes. And they understand the inner working.
And they understand how to go. That's why probably in hospitals, where you would have doctors who come around and, oh, give it this, give it that, and they hand it to
A nurse.
a nurse. And all during the night,
It's nurses.
it's the nurses there.
Yeah. And it's only when something goes wrong they would
Yes.
call the doctor
They
to
call the doctor.
come and look at
So
what's
again, you see that kind of thing.
So both energies must perform I shouldn't say perform, fulfill their responsibilities.
They must work inside of the body that the universe has given them,
Yeah.
with the appropriate energies that come with that body, right?
But this begs a question. There are individuals in society now who tell you that they are physically male, but they feel that they're trapped in this male body as a woman.
I start to finish explain ordinary.
No, I just want us to.
You want me to go outside the ordinary? We have so much to discuss right inside the male-female standard relationship.
But I'm just thinking that these confused individuals shouldn't really be doing anything spiritual because they cannot give anybody any proper spiritual guidance. Anyhow, let you go ahead then. Forget I asked the question.
I try to talk about why it is that couples don't achieve. You see, God puts us on this earth. I'll explain something else. If you ask in a Christian church who you're worshiping to, they'll tell you they're worshiping God. One word. If you're in a Jewish church and they ask who you're worshiping, right? Who's the highest level? You even have it in the Bible. By what name shall I serve thee?
I am that I am.
I am that I am.
There's Yod Heh Vav Heh, right?
Yeah, no. Yod Heh Vav Heh is Jehovah. Okay. We call Jehovah. It's unpronounceable, in fact. But I am that I am is really a poor translation of Eheye Asher Eheye.
Okay.
Right? So, Eheye Asher Eheye. So you see that God Eheye, Asher, the creation of light with duality in order to create the world. Eheye Asher Eheye. So the higher Eheye creates the lower Eheye to be exactly like him.
Okay. So he has created himself.
Yes. Or it has created itself.
Okay.
You know, it had to be masculine and feminine.
So that is why when he said, let us create man in his image,
the beings that created it was Elohim, which was feminine with a masculine plural.
yeah.
Right? So you have to have the receptor in order for it to be received.
Right.
So you can't have the man first and the woman after. You had to have the woman first. You had to have the earth and then the sun, and then the sun feeding the earth, which brought forth life.
So that even the scientific community that not necessarily are believers in the concept of God has established that if the sun dies, the planet dies. Right? So
if the planet dies, the planetary system dies. Life dies.
yeah.
Life as we know it. But why then did God create a being that he gave the right to be like him?
Well, that is a difficult question.
Because in the old translations of the Bible, it says, and on the seventh day, he rested and
Marveled.
he marveled. Why would God have to marvel?
Because he was seeing himself for the first time.
There you go. You could go and sit down with the rabbis and them. So what happened is that the world exists by it being able to look at itself. So if you want to say it, is that there's a vast amount of knowledge there, endless, but even more knowledge comes.
All right. How would you quantify? All right. So the universe is a reflection of God.
The universe is a reflection of the energy system that created it.
All right.
I wouldn't call it God because God tends to make it like a little being standing up there going,
Limited.
Universe. You know,
Yeah.
when in actual fact, God might be bigger than the universe.
So, all right, because a lot of people have the misconception that we have been created in the image of God, and we look at ourselves and feel God is just like us. He looks just like us.
No. In the image of God, what does God do?
Yeah.
What in the whole of the Bible, what does God do?
Create.
Create.
Yeah.
So, if you create a being, that being could have any shape, any size. But the one thing that the being would have is what?
The ability to create.
What you have to have in order to create?
Emotions.
What else? What did Jesus have to have when he went into the desert in order to control, to learn to handle his emotions? What did he have to have?
Willpower.
Yeah, what else? Keep going. Where did the willpower come from?
Soul.
What is a soul?
We now establishing that. Don't put me at the end of the class with an exam.
So I'll tell you. You have to have consciousness.
Consciousness. All right.
What is consciousness?
An awareness of who, what you are and your surroundings.
You see, we use words
Yeah.
and we don't understand the words that we mean. What do you mean by the word awareness?
Knowledge of.
If you say, I am aware of that bottle, what do you mean?
I know that it's a bottle
You know that that is a bottle. How do you know? How can you know that that is a bottle?
because I was told it is a bottle.
No, look at yourself. How do you know that that is a bottle?
Because I see it.
So where does the sight come from? Oh, we chase it right into the core of its being.
The sight comes from my eyes.
And where does the eyes come from? Oh, you're not going to get away like that.
Well, the eyes are connected.
So it depends upon what do you mean by consciousness.
Okay.
Shall I tell you?
Yes.
You are aware that you are aware.
So I know that I know.
Yes.
I
That ties it up even more.
I know one particular
Let me-
spiritual mother is going to be elated to hear that.
Listen what
Because she always saying that she know that she know.
Yes. No, listen what that means.
Yeah.
It means that I am aware that
Yeah.
I am here, I am part of the totality,
Yes.
but I am also separate.
Yes.
That's what consciousness is.
Right.
The ability to define itself relative to the rest of the phenomena that it is seeing around it. In other words, you'll say a sense of self.